Hello, my name is Tommy Hoppe. I'm going to teach you a part of my theory which is called CR1, and it is a language for the unification of color and music. It is not released yet, but I'll be showing you various parts of it through lectures. This is my blackboard. I'm going to be teaching you about color bloodline. The best way for colors to get along and to harmonize with each other is through a shared bloodline. Think DNA and genetics, but with pigments. When two colors share a pigment in common, they will harmonize. Now, on the back of your paints or on the back of your pastels or whatever it is that you're using, you will see that there is a code. It's a pigment code. And over here you have yellow, blue, and red. And these are pigment codes. They read like PB27, PB28, PY. That stands for pigment yellow, pigment blue, pigment red. And these numbers are identifiers for the minerals, the chemicals, organic or inorganic, that go into the actual paint. If you want to get really good at painting, a fabulous way to learn about what you're doing is by studying these pigment codes. For example, today I'm going to use cobalt blue as our main tonic color. Tonic comes from the music world, and it is the central color that we are going to be using. This can manifest as a background color, or it can just be the organizing center of a hierarchy. By hierarchy, I mean like a governance. In the middle will be cobalt, and it's blue. And cobalt is a blue where it is very blue. It's not this way or this way on the color wheel. It doesn't lean one way or the other. It's right in the middle. Okay, so this is going to act as our central axis, and I will represent that with a line. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pick two other pigments to go along with cobalt. These will be blue pigments, but they will lean to the left and to the right on the color wheel. So I've picked PB27, which is Prussian blue. It will lean a little bit towards yellow. And I picked PB29, ultramarine, which will lean a little bit towards red. We have a cobalt bloodline that is flanked on either side by these orbitals, okay, of Prussian and ultramarine. Let me show you how this works. We're going to take this ultramarine. We're going to bring it in and mix it together with the cobalt. Now, in the same way, we're going to take our Prussian, and this will mix together with the cobalt. Here we have three different blues that are a stacked powerhouse primary. You mix them all together, okay? Call this a braided prime. This will be our main mixture that we'll use. Okay? Now, I called these orbitals. This is the Prussian orbital, and this is the ultramarine orbital. You can think of them like if the center of the color hierarchy is here, this is cobalt, you have these orbitals that go around, and this would be the Prussian, and this would be the ultramarine, okay? And you can think of them as sort of rotating around and strengthening the core of cobalt. Now yellow is going to come like this. And it's going to swoop down, and as it gets close to here, it's going to pull apart the orbital that leans towards it. So we're going to pull apart this braid, and here it will mix with the yellow to make a suitable green. in the same way, we take red. Red will come over this way, come up here, and it will pull apart the braid, and it will take the orbital of ultramarine out of the braid. And at these points, we can mix a harmonious violet, okay, and we can mix a harmonious green. If you don't do this, if you just used ultramarine and you mixed ultramarine with pigment yellow, you're not going to get a nice green. You're going to get a muddy green. And so if you don't mix in a suitable primary with a suitable primary, you're going to get muddy colors. So we're trying to optimize for really nice looking secondary and tertiary colors. Now, from here, these orbitals will go back in to our main braid. And that's our strong blue there. The red will come up, it makes our violet, then it can go down over here. We'll take our yellow, and yellow will meet up over here as well, and then we can produce an orange. Okay? So this orange relates to this family in the sense that it is made from these two parents. Okay? So if we have yellow in our composition, if we have red in our composition, it will naturally harmonize with this orange. But orange will always be diametrically opposed to blue because this has nothing in common with these two, right? Orange is made from yellow and red, and it has nothing in common with blue. Okay? So in this way, in terms of the composition of colors, you are going to be making a family where orange is harmonious with the whole because it is composed of yellow and red, and that yellow and red produced a green and a violet, which came from a blue that is our primary color, that is our main tonic color. So everything will relate in terms of a family. Now, there's a benefit of this. This is way more powerful than a limited palette. When you look at this, you might think limited palette. But the problem with limited palettes is if you just take a red, yellow, and a blue, and you start mixing them together, as you mix them together and you make secondary and tertiary colors, they start to become deadened. They become flat. They have no flavor. And so everything becomes sort of the same, and everything becomes muted, and you don't want that. What you want is you want to be able to pick pigments like you would if you were a musician. You want to think like a musician. You have your main note, A flat, that's being played by a piano, but you don't want the whole piece played by a piano. You want to have other instruments in there. So Prussian might be like a bassoon, and ultramarine might be like an oboe, but they're all playing A flat. Okay? So by pulling these together into one sound, we're using instrumentation. We're basically creating this rich sound, which is this blue, that is this stacked blue. And it is then able to pull off and separate from the main blue, and then it can go, and Prussian blue can be used separately to mix with other colors to give it more of its properties. Now, to the eye, when you look at just Prussian blue, cobalt, and ultramarine, they're not terribly different, okay? But when that's the masked the mass tone, meaning that is what you're seeing when you're looking at the pigment. When you actually work with them, the properties of Prussian, the properties of ultramarine, or if you're to switch out ultramarine with like a phthalo blue, you will see the properties of these blues are wildly different. If you add a little bit of white to a phthalo blue, you will get a blue that absolutely screams. And adding that to a composition will give it a pop that you will not be able to get with the regular concept of a limited palette. So you're able to do this in a simple way through this concept, and you can expand this by doing the same thing with red and yellow, and you can think in terms of this in order to get the colors that you want that have that personality. They have the personality that you want for your composition. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.